Hi, my name is Omid Daryani. I'm the Senior Brand Manager for the EverQuest franchise and Landmark. Welcome to the Roundtable. With me today is Lead Systems Designer Michael Mann. And we're talking about, well, we asked the question, which of these crafting systems are you most interested in hearing about? And there were 4 options, right?
Yeah, the 4 options were item upgrading, which was the resounding winner with 61%. We had reinforcing, imbuing, and refining. So
yeah, and to some extent, we were looking to figure out which one of these systems we should prioritize, because they're all going in the game. It's just a question of which one goes first.
Yeah, exactly. So to explain a little bit of background, we actually, when we initially implemented the crafting system, we implemented it as a core system, which means that it is base functionality. We're testing the gameplay loop there, right?
Yeah, the whole gameplay, like
exactly.
You know, it's the Play-Doh version, right?
Yeah. So you go in, and we want to make sure you could gather resources, and that you could craft items, and that the random item system was working, and there weren't any flaws in that, right? It was not intended to be a final system, and so these 4 systems actually are the way that we're going to grow that main system in the future.
Yeah, and I think one of the big concerns that we hear from people, which I mean you hear it in many games, is I'm unlucky. There's so much luck involved in this. I can never get a legendary item. All my items are green.
Yeah, I mean we've experienced similar things in the office, right? Like I will roll up and because I'm a really good crafter, I'll make a legendary item, right? And the guy sitting next to me is like, I only ever get greens, and so we feel the frustration, right? I get private messages that are like, hey, it's really streaky and random, and we feel that, right? And we are totally aware of that, and the item upgrading system is actually the way that we're going to take this much randomness and we're going to shrink it down to this much to allow you guys to have more control, right?
Yeah, so can you just walk us through what the item upgrade system is and what it does?
Yeah, sure. So initially, right now, when you create an item, it can roll. Basically, it can be superior, exceptional, or legendary, right? Which is a huge space of randomness, right? And we're gonna make it so that when you initially create an item, when item upgrading goes live, that it can only roll as green, right? Which means that there's a much smaller space that you can randomize within. And then after you take that green item, and depending on how well the initial item rolled, you'll be able to upgrade it some number of times, right? So the better rolls you get, the more upgrades you'll have. So there's still a little bit of randomization in there, but instead of it being a huge amount, it's a much smaller amount.
Right, you're basically not stuck with it, and because it's an upgrade system, right? You can sort of choose the directions you want to upgrade.
Yeah,
right?
you can if you feel that damage is more important, or you already have all the speed items that you want, and you want to start focusing on damage. You can take that item and you can use the relics that we've talked about in previous dev diaries, and say, hey, I want to put upgrades into damage, or I can even upgrade the quality, so I can take it from a blue item to from a green item to a blue item, which is pretty awesome, right? So we take some of the randomness that was there before, and we actually allow you to control where the points go.
Yeah, and that sounds like it's going to be a field day for the min-maxers and elitist jerks that may be watching this video.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we hope that that people become interested and try and figure out ways to min-max the system. And if you aren't pleased with the choices that you make, you can actually wipe the upgrades and re-upgrade if you'd like. So we allow for lots of variations.
Absolutely, and one of my favorite things about this roundtable was watching you interact with the fans in the forums, right? There was a great statistical post, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So a couple weeks ago, I think, I posted how stats work on the forums, and we got a bunch of responses, and we were allowed, I was able to interact with you guys and the team as well on, different formulas for the stats, and, there were some things that forum goers posted on there that really helped give us an insight to how some of those stats feel in game, and how oh, well, it might scale better if it looked like this way. And so some people actually got deep down into the numbers and pointed out things that maybe we wouldn't have noticed otherwise. And it's been super helpful.
One of those cool things too that I really like about Landmark in general is that we're not just talking about aesthetics. We're not just talking about like game design and creative stuff with people. We're actually getting into the math and really talking about like how systems work and
So something that actually came up from all of this is that, as we were playing through and as we got feedback, we noticed that the Mastercraft Racer, for instance, people were not super thrilled with how it was at the moment. And, we took creating this system as an opportunity to actually upgrade the Mastercraft Racer. And so when you're creating your initial item, we're actually going to narrow it even further if you're going to wear your Mastercraft Racer. So, hypothetically, if you were rolling between, like a 1 and a 1.2, if you're wearing your Mastercraft Racer, it's a higher low-end number. So you're rolling in a smaller range, which was something that a lot of people have mentioned on the forums. So I think it'll be a good improvement, you know.
Awesome. And so, you know, to wrap this up, like, how does the crafting system in Landmark relate to EverQuest Next?
So we actually are going to use a lot of the same back-end systems, the data and all that sort of stuff, which, you know, isn't super exciting right now, but it's exciting to us. You know, we're going to use a lot of those systems, and also a lot of the feedback and the stuff that we get with this system is going to help flavor where EverQuest Next moves in the future, right? So the lessons we learn and the, you know, the way you guys bring up the issues and concerns that you have are going to help us move EverQuest Next and Landmark together forward. So.
Yeah, I mean, as we start designing the crafting system in EverQuest Next, naturally all of this data, all of this design work that we've put into Landmark is going to inform that.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is an opportunity to influence EverQuest Next already. So, excellent. Thank you for joining us, Michael. Thank you guys for joining us on the roundtable, and we'll see you next time.